Jon Sicotte, executive editor of the Brewer Magazine. Welcome to another edition of the Brewer Magazine podcast. We are sponsored by Square. Square keeps every corner of your brewery moving, from orders and payments to staff and data. Square helps you manage it all so you can focus on the good stuff. See how Square can help your business at square.com/good stuff. We are also sponsored by Keg Logistics, and you can go to keglogistics.com for more details. Of course, 24 hours a day is brewermag.com, ciderbusiness.com as well. If you're a cidery owner, we want to make sure that we're keeping you up to date with business resources as well. And of course, make sure you're liking and subscribing on the Brewer Mag and Cider Business podcast right here on YouTube and Spotify. Okay, you know what? It's funny to think that if you're celebrating a decade in the industry, you've gone through quite a bit. Of course, every small business owner is always going to have trials and tribulations throughout, but man, what a time to be an owner of a business, a brewery that it is celebrating 10 or 11 years. Because you think about when you started it, it was near the boom of the craft beer industry. Then COVID happens. You have to build through that, all the things that have been going on, then the trials and tribulations associated with all of that. So congratulations to you if you've done it. In fact, I had a chance to sit down and talk with Andy Cook, who founded Swiftwater Brewing in Rochester, New York, 11 years ago. And I had a great time after meeting him during the Ohio Beer Awards judging stuff. And then I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be through Rochester anyway. Let me stop by. We'll have a few drinks, some of those 11-year anniversary beers and why they pick what they do. So we talked a little bit about that. And then just the, being a small operator and the things that involve over all of that, and the culture and how things have changed, how consumers have changed. And I know you're going through some of those same things as well. So I wanted Andy to be able to share some of that with us here on the Brewer Magazine podcast. This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency. And we're joined here on the Brewer Magazine podcast with Andy Cook. Cheers. Thanks for having me. We're at Swiftwater in Rochester, New York. Andy, we met each other just a few weeks back during the Ohio Beer Awards judging contest. You have yours coming up soon.
We do.
So if anyone wants to be a judge,
give us a shout. The New York State Brewers Association, we could use like 10, 20 more awesome judges.
Yeah, so if you're seeing this, let them know. They're always looking for some great, and judging is fun because that was the first time I'd sat down behind the scenes and gotten a chance to see things work. And you and Paul got to kind of look through the back end of like a new judging software. So, and looks like you're going to kind of be the guy behind the scenes. I mean, how excited are you for that?
Excited and nervous. A little, like, not quite terrified, but definitely nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, congratulations. 11 years now. I see some of the anniversary beers are still on. Tell us a little bit about what you guys did for the Swiftwater 11th anniversary.
Yeah, so we every year for our anniversary, we make some sort of big beer. The last good few years, it's been like 15% or so. We took it a little easier this year and made a 10% barrel-aged Doppelbock, aged in whiskey barrels.
Yep. Right here.
Yep. Pretty happy with how it came out. So then we bottle a little bit of that anniversary beer. We serve at least a half barrel on draft that year, and then we save 3 sixtels that we break out for the next 3 years. So every year we have almost always have like 3 past years plus the current year.
That's really nice. Yeah. And then so last year's you had a couple variants of, what was it? Like
sour?
Was it a sour?
No, barley wine.
Barley wine.
Yeah, so we had one, we barrel aged the whole batch, and then we took one barrel and then added a second aging. We aged it in the second barrel.
Gotcha.
So a local whiskey barrel in addition to a one from Virginia. So that was kind of fun. And then I did one with, I did one variant that was inspired by an old fashioned. I feel like that one went over the best. Like that was generally the favorite.
Nice.
I think my favorite this year was the last variant was plum and vanilla.
Very
so
nice.
I think that was my favorite.
Has this been something that you started at year one? Was there like a kickoff, or like how did the idea like, okay, we're going to sell it, and everyone kind of does this, some kind of special beer to celebrate, but do you have like, it seems like you want to do something a little different every time, not just be like, we're going to put out a new hazy, for our anniversary. What kind of brought you to that?
Yeah, so I just thought it actually the idea started our very first year. We made a Russian Imperial Stout. Like we brewed it right after we opened, and then released it like a month or two later. I'm like, what? I don't know why I had the idea, but it's like it'd be really cool to have like a vertical of that one beer. So we did that for a few years, but then it was like, what? It'd be really cool to just make something special for the anniversary. So that year, year one for our first anniversary, like celebrating 1 year in, we made a barley wine as well. So it's kind of full circle that we made it as our 10th anniversary as well.
Very nice.
And yeah, it's just something fun for our brewing staff to play around and come up with a new recipe. So we've done a whole bunch of imperial stouts. We've done like blends of barley wine, old ale stout sort of thing. We've adjuncted a bunch of different stuff. We did, one of my favorites was we did a Belgian Golden Strong and took half of it and aged it in a pear brandy barrel, and then took the other half and added Brett to it. So it was like two completely different beers. It was, Orval is one of my favorites. So it was like some kind of a nod of the cap to Orval on one hand, but then just like big malty boozy notes from the brandy on the other hand. It was, completely different.
Nice. Now, how much of a departure, or is it kind of what you guys do all year round? I mean, like how much is it something, like you said, the brewers get to play with something for the anniversary, but do you guys do a lot of stuff like that year round, or how is your lineup usually formulated?
Our lineup changes a lot. I think as we've gone on, after being here for 10 years or so, like we've kind of found favorite recipes that our customers kind of expect, that we always have our house IPA on, or now like Kolsch Pilsner, like each of those, like we've got to have one of them on for sure.
Yeah.
Some sort of dark lager or porter or something like that, but we'll rotate through those a little bit. But yeah, I would say quarterly, out of our 20 taps, at least 5 will change.
Have you noticed that the way you guys need to put a lineup out has changed over 10 years? I mean, like, what were you coming in with? Is there anything from the beginning that stays, or has the palate and thought process of how you guys brew changed so much because of either the market or because of what the drinker, is demanding? I mean, how is that adapted? How have you adapted, and how have you changed yourself?
We're always brewing something new. So I think on Untappd we have over 500 unique beers. So we're constantly coming up with new ideas and stuff like that. So it's a constant evolution in that way. But then also like, I feel like there's a debate in brewing whether it should be like consistency or continuous improvement. And I've always wanted continuous improvement. So I want to, every time I brew a beer, unless I'm like completely happy with that recipe, I want to make it 2% better. So like, I'm always tweaking stuff. Like it's really the same beer, and unless you're really dialed into the flavor profile of that beer, you're really going to have to look hard to find it. Sure. But I always just want to make it like a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that's the other evolution, is like, I'll try, is this more expensive base malt worth it? Or, if we add an extra pound of hops here, or something like that.
Sure. And that changes COGS. You become, you think of it on the business side as well. How much of a better businessman have you? You want to be a little bit better in the beer side. How have you become a better businessman over 11 years as well?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like brewing and running a business are both kind of like golf. Like you can always get better. Like there's no such thing as a perfect game. It's not like bowling. It's like nobody hits eagles all the time.
Right.
Know? So I feel like there's always stuff that we could track better. You know, cost savings that we can go after. You know, I try not to whittle down COGS at the expense of quality for sure. Like if more expensive malt is worth it, I'm gonna buy it. But I will nickel and dime stuff like shipping and you know, if we can get the same thing cheaper elsewhere, we'll do that. Yeah, stuff like that.
Is that something that you've learned over the years, though? Because it is important to continually look at new vendors, talk to people, keep those relationships going with the ones you have, find the points that you can make this better for you, and be able to make sure that they're still being able to supply you as well. I mean, how have you worked that, the business acumen side of relationships and working with vendors?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess there's several different ways to look at that. And I think that just like, if I find a vendor that I love that's always there for us, always going to pick up my phone when I call, that's worth paying a little bit more for, I think. Chris, our glycol chiller is down, and he's here like within an hour. Like that's worth quite a bit. I would say, to me. Yeah. Whereas like there are other stuff where it's like, I don't know, a cardboard box is a cardboard box is a cardboard box. And if I can get it cheaper from one vendor than the other, then I'm just gonna get the cheaper one.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to just, being that thing in business of trying to be better, working with customers, do you guys see that evolution of maybe a customer base, or how has the customers changed you guys? Like, has it been something where you're putting stuff out because it's always new and people are loving it, or are you putting out new stuff because people are asking you to put new stuff out?
I mean, I always say, like, we're not in the business of brewing beer, we're in the business of selling beer. So like if I make something and it doesn't move, I might make it again. I'll just make a lot less of it, So like maybe we don't need 20 barrels of that beer sitting around for 6 months. Maybe 7 would be enough.
Yeah.
And then I think I think that's one thing, is just listening to our customers, seeing what sells, seeing what people really are into, and then doing more of that. Not necessarily like exactly the same, but like, oh, our like short spirits sold really well last winter. Like maybe we try a Czech dark lager too this year. Maybe there's enough demand that we can make 2 little batches of 2 different beers. So kind of that sort of thing. Over the years, I would say we've kind of gone from when we first opened, I think we were like making some of the weirdest beer in town. I always say that I'm pretty sure that we were the first brewery in town to intentionally make a sour beer. From that, so like that, and then also, I don't know, I make a beer from time to time that I call Thai PA, and it's Thai chilies, ginger, cilantro, and lime. So, I like to get weird with that. And we kind of started that way. And then we went through the whole evolution of like smoothie sours and stuff like that. And we were doing a fair amount of those. We've seen demand kind of like taper off for those. And over the last few years, we've seen a big increase in sales of just like reasonable gravity, lagers, classic styles, stouts and porters, that sort of thing. So Kolsch alt beer, which is kind of where I've come around to, like, that's what I really enjoy brewing. I still like getting weird with that, but I really do enjoy the classic German style. So I'm excited to do that, supplemented with like some British and American stuff as well.
Sure. And it's got to be fun to be able to come back to those styles that I think if you're, a brewer at the beginning, you kind of enjoy those things. And that was the beer you were drinking as a shifty at the end anywhere. You always wanted. Everyone, I think 10 years ago, you would ask, I'd love to make a lager.
Sure.
But now it's there.
Yeah.
Are you happy to see that kind of move back towards it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would also say, like, as a drinker, I've definitely gone in that direction where don't get me wrong, I like to try everything, but at the end of the day, I want something like this in my glass. And part of that's like, I want to try that 15% stout, but I can only drink a little bit of it. So, then I want to land on something closer to 5 or 6%.
Sure. One of the other parts of evolution is being able to buy some new toys, buy some new equipment, learn some better techniques. What have been your favorite things that have helped advance the technical brewing sides for you guys?
There's two things. So I guess two answers to your question. My favorite thing that I bought is our keg washer, which also doubles as a CIP or clean place cart. I got one that I could kind of hack and retrofit and make it so that we can hook it up to a tank, and then instead of hooking up hoses and disconnecting hoses all day, it's just opening and closing valves and pushing buttons. So that's my favorite like time-saving thing. Yeah. As far as like beer quality goes, we bought, I'm gonna give a shout out to a local company of ours called Ultimate Brew Service, and they made a dry hopping tank, essentially like a hop rocket.
Yeah.
And that, so that we, I don't know if we can see, but those big tanks over there.
Yeah.
If we're dry hopping that, we have a smaller tank that's like 3 barrels, and we get it all clean, sanitized, load it up with hops, and then we can purge that whole tank and purge through the hops as well. So it greatly improves our dissolved oxygen. Then we pump through that tank and then back into the fermenter, and that tank does a really good job of containing the hops. So we recirculate it for a couple hours, basically just to get everything stirred up. And then we leave it to settle overnight and come in the morning and push it back into the original fermenter, like all under pressure, so no oxygen exposure. And it does a really good job of keeping the hops in and squeezing all the beer out. So it's improved our yields as well by like 5%, which is like pretty cool.
Yeah. It's adding money that that you can't find elsewhere.
Adding money, saving costs, saving waste.
Yeah. Yep. And speaking of waste and the ways that things go, I just noticed when I was driving in, I got a chance to see that you guys have worked with the Pollution Prevention Institute and done sustainability assessments. Mm-hmm. It used to be like, I remember when we started, we would talk to someone, there's things like CO2 capturing and, all the different ways that you can be more sustainable, more green. It was always like, well, at that level, at that size.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's again, technology gets better, things get smaller, and it's more affordable for smaller breweries. Like, how important is it to you to be able to do that? Because again, it's a community effort. It does save you some costs on some ends. Like, why was it important to want to be more sustainable going forward? And this Brewer Magazine podcast is sponsored by Square. Square keeps every corner of your brewery moving, from orders and payments to staff and data. Square helps you manage it all so you can focus on the good stuff. See how Square can help your business at square.com/good stuff. And we thank Square for sponsoring the Brewer Magazine podcast. This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.
I think it's important for me just ideologically because, um, you know, number one, my grandmother was raised in the Depression. She beat that into my mom, who beat it into me. So I just naturally hate seeing stuff go to waste. So that's one thing. Number two, I think that brewing at our scale can be incredibly wasteful, and consume a lot of energy, produce a lot of waste. And the more that we can, I don't know, I think it's very important to do it as sustainably as possible. And then number three, it just saves money. So like, I don't really like paying our energy bill. So if I can reduce our energy usage, then let's do it.
Is there anything that you found when you were doing this that you guys have been able to switch to, or you see a door opening at some point for you?
So going through that audit, there was nothing huge that they found, but I thought it was incredibly valuable just to have a sounding board for me to talk stuff through with some really smart people. And they helped us in a lot of little ways, like helped us get set up to measure a caustic to see if that was still effective, so that maybe we can like reuse it a little bit more. They helped us with basically cost benefit analysis for a new hot liquor tank with better insulation, which we did put in. That's probably third on the list of favorite things that I bought. So that, and then a couple of the other things that I've just developed over the years is we changed the way we purge tanks. So instead of just pushing CO2 in the bottom and venting out a blend of CO2 and oxygen from the top until the oxygen's within a reasonable amount, now we've just found it faster and more efficient to fill the tank fully with water and then push it out with CO2. So I essentially just keep one tank as a cold liquor tank. So I'm basically just pushing one way with air because it's cheaper, and then pushing the other way with CO2 to completely displace all of the oxygen.
Sure.
So I'll use that cold liquor tank for that, and then of course for our process cooling water when we're brewing, we'll use that water to run through our heat exchanger and cool everything down, and then that water just goes right back into the hot liquor tank because everything, I make sure everything stays nice and clean, and it's nice clean water, and we might as well get one more use out of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Which leads to more beer.
Yep.
Well, awesome. So the other thing that I kind of had asked you, and I texted you earlier, like, what are those things that you think you've learned the most from over 11 years of being open, like that you would have loved to have been able to tell yourself in year one from what you've learned in year 11? Like, what are some of those things that you really have appreciated and learned from over this time?
I know everybody says brewing is cleaning, but running a brewery is even more cleaning because whether it's mopping the floors or scrubbing the storage area floors or vacuuming up the grain room or whatever, it's just a ton of cleaning, and then it's really a lot of maintenance. I knew it would be, but the more toys you put in place, like keg washer, canning line, that's another thing to learn how to maintenance and just stay on top of and figure out how to fix if it breaks and that sort of thing. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing I would say is when I kind of jokingly poke fun at myself, I'm like, oh yeah, I just got into this because I like to make beer, I like to make food, I like to serve people beer and food, and so why don't I do that? And it really it takes a really good team to keep this place keep everybody happy, keep everything running smoothly. So I think just like surrounding yourself with great people, like you know, I like to think of myself as a collector of great people. Like if I find somebody awesome, I try and keep them around for sure.
Yeah, and I think the thing that over the 10 years that I've been doing this and talking to people is when they understand they're not good at something, so they have the humility and not the ego to be able to say, okay, you're going to do this.
You're better at this than I am. You do that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think then just, you know, it's partly the craft beer environment has changed, but I think about it as, you know, our primary function isn't really brewing beer. It's running a brew pub. Like it's making people feel welcome, filling their bellies with delicious food and delicious beer. But you know, that's really our core business. And I think over the last 10 years, the expectations have risen so much from that. Like I think we always had, since we started the kitchen 6 months after opening, I think we've always had really good food, but like it's the expectations have gone up so much, and you know, we work really hard. Our kitchen team works really hard to exceed expectations for food quality. And I kind of think about it like, you know, our city, Rochester, has a bunch of old school Italian restaurants. And there's one that I always used to love going to 20 years ago. I've been back recently and I'm like, it's fine. And like, but I like these other places that have opened since better. Yeah. And that place is still doing the same thing that they were doing 50 years ago. Yeah. So they haven't changed. It's just my expectations have gone up. And I think that's happened even more so over the last 10 years for brew pubs. It's no longer that you can get away with, you know, the ubiquitous panini press or like pulling a frozen pretzel out of the freezer. It has to be like delicious, well thought out, like creative, exciting, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Cheers to this.
Cheers.
Now, I didn't tell you this. We usually end with some goofy off the wall, get to know you type questions. So the first one, and I like asking this one, especially the people that are still doing the brewing sometimes, like, what can you laugh at now that you had a mistake, you had something that you learned from over these years of, you know, on the brew deck that you're like, you can laugh about it now, but it was pure hell when you had to go through it.
I mean, like, first of all, I always joke that, like, as I'm going through a brew day or transferring or kegging or whatever, I have this mental list of everything I screwed up in the past, you know? So like, all right, at this stage, don't do this, because that sucked when you did that one time. So I've messed up pretty much everything. I've done that thing where you take the wrong clamp off a tank. I did that once, didn't do it again. I've fixed it 3 or 4 times, which I'm pretty proud of. I guess the one thing that I think is really funny now that wasn't funny at the time is that our first year we tried to make a goza with pumpkin seeds, and I was like, this sounds kind of cool. We had a local farm that was growing pumpkin seeds, and they were able to mill it for us, so we put it in the mash and go through the whole brew day, get to the end, pitch yeast, come in the next morning, nothing. So we're like, uh-oh. So we pitched more yeast, nothing. We added nutrient, we added oxygen, we added so much yeast to that stinking tank, and it never fermented. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like iodine in the salt or something like that, but we never made beer. So that was also the first beer that we dumped. And it just never fermented, started smelling foul. So that's what floor drains are for.
Yep. Exactly. If you're not here and it's not beer, what are you doing? Where are you?
Hiking the high peaks in Adirondacks is what I've really that's where I would like to be anyways. I made it out there last October, slept out in the cold in 20-degree weather. It was great. I did have a beer on top of the mountain. We carried in one to have on top of the mountain.
Yeah. So do you like is it more survivalist type sleeping out in the cold? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You like doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's backpacking, tent camping.
Yeah. Awesome. And finally, this one, just because I've been on the road and it popped in my head because I find out, and maybe you're with me, who knows, if you're driving along, you have to stop just to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And you just road trip, you did the 7.5-hour, 9-hour drive because of the weather to Cincinnati from here. When you stop, do you feel guilty and buy something from the gas station that you stopped to go to the bathroom at, or do you sneak in and leave?
I pretty much always buy something. I pretty much always want something, so it's not really that much of an imposition. On the way to Cincinnati, so Swiftwater, I was a whitewater kayaker and Swiftwater rescue instructor, and spent a lot of time in southern PA, West Virginia. And one thing that I miss is sheets. So I was driving to Cincinnati. First of all, like, I was pushed on through till I got to PA, so I could stop at a Sheetz rather than the stupid like throughway rest plazas.
Sure.
So I pushed on through for that, and then I was pretty excited to buy something every time I stopped through Sheetz. Yeah.
It was funny because I guess I'm in the minority, and I did not know this, that like it's just like I'm very much like I want to beat the clock of whatever my GPS says. So like I only have 3 minutes. I'm going in, I'm peeing, I'm leaving.
Sure.
And I posted this to my Facebook, and like within an hour, I had like 19 responses, and there was like 2 people on my side, and then my wife, texted me and said, "Yeah, I'm the same as you." And I guess now I have to change. Like I did buy a Monster energy drink this morning at the one time I stopped, but that was because I didn't have any coffee with me. So I guess I have to change my ways, but.
Yeah, you do you. I would say, like, so in New York, there's like the travel plazas where there's like a bunch of different businesses and bathrooms. Those I don't really.
Those I don't worry. But like I did that one on the way here after Buffalo. So like I stopped, used it, kept going. But like I didn't know that this was like. And the only reason this came to me as while I was driving, we went to Penn State last year for a game against Bowling Green State. And my buddy was like, "Oh, I got to buy something." I'm like, "We have food in here." Like, and he's like, "No, I got to do it." So I'm like, "Okay." And so it just popped in my head, and I thought that'd be something fun. So, well, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and
absolutely
having me out here and getting the chance to have some beer and see the place. So, all right, cheers.
Cheers.
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.